Last month, I posted a video all about a budget-friendly ingredient that I love to use in meals, and I created several recipes using it. It was a video all about tortellini. And as a result of that video, I actually had several requests to do another similar video, including some requests for a very specific item, and that is gnocchi. So in this video, I'm going to be talking all about gnocchi and sharing with you some really easy recipes for utilizing this really simple, budget-friendly, versatile ingredient in your cooking. If I'm being honest, I probably only recently discovered gnocchi, or started using it, I should say, in the last 4 or 5 years. It's just not something that I grew up eating. And I think maybe I thought that it was something really exotic, but when I tried my first recipes with it, I was like, wow, this cooks really quickly. It's a very inexpensive ingredient. In fact, I can usually find it in 1-pound packages for less than $2 at various and sundry stores. And it's something that tends to take on the flavors of what you are cooking it with. So I can use it in a variety of ways, and it is a great way to stretch a meal to feed a lot of people. Tonight, I am making a recipe that I have had pinned for a little while. It is from the website Salt and Lavender, and it is called Chicken Bacon Gnocchi. I will leave that recipe linked in the description box below. Per the usual, I will probably be making a few adjustments according to how I like my food seasoned, and also according to the ingredients that I have on hand. But I find that I keep coming back to that particular website, fairly often. I think those pins are suggested to me a lot on Pinterest, and I like a lot of her recipes. So be sure to go and have a look around that website when you get a chance. I used my kitchen shears to cut up 6 pieces of bacon, and I already have that cooking on the stove. You can probably hear that kind of simmering on the stove behind me. So I've got that going. And the rest of the ingredients I have right here. This is a pound of chicken breast, and I went ahead and cut that up into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to use a generous amount of garlic. I'll probably use about 2 heaping spoonfuls of garlic for this recipe. It calls for a cup of heavy cream, but I'm not sure I have quite a cup in here, so I have some half and half that I can finish that up with if I need to. Half a cup of chicken broth, but I'm just going to use half a cup of water and about a teaspoon of this Better Than bouillon. Oh, this is actually oregano, and I need Italian seasoning. Hold please. Of course, I have my gnocchi here. This is just a standard size package. It's about a pound, a little over a pound, 17 ounces. Italian seasoning. Her recipe says a dash. I'll probably put in about a teaspoon. Salt and pepper to taste. I'm actually going to use a little bit of this Auntie Nono's Everything seasoning, and then we finish it off with some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. I'll probably use about 3/4 of a cup, which would be most of this block. When my bacon was done, I removed it from the pan and just put it onto a paper towel on top of a plate so that it could cool down. And I did drain most of the bacon grease, but not all of it, because now I am browning the chicken pieces in the bacon grease, which was just probably a couple of tablespoons worth that I left in the bottom of the pan after I removed the bacon. I'm also going to go ahead and season this now. I'm going to season the chicken with some Auntie Nono's Everything seasoning and a little bit of fresh cracked black pepper. And I'll sprinkle in a little bit of the Italian seasoning as well, let that get fragrant in the heat. I don't need my chicken to cook completely. I'm just kind of looking for the outside of each piece to not be pink anymore. It's gonna finish cooking with the sauce. This just needs about 1 more minute to brown all the chicken, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the garlic as well. I didn't wanna add that at the beginning because garlic can burn really easily. You don't want it to saute for very long. It only needs about 60 to 90 seconds or so. I'm gonna add my bouillon. This is just about a teaspoon or so of Better Than bouillon. Half a cup of water. Now I'm going to add my gnocchi, and I'm also going to add in my cream and stir that up really well. I'm gonna bring that to a simmer and cover it and let it cook for about 4 minutes, but I'm gonna make sure that it's simmering very low so that the cream doesn't scorch. So I set my timer, I let it simmer very low, so yay, it did not burn. And I used a meat thermometer to make sure that my chicken is done. It is cooked to a safe internal temperature. So now I'm just going to add my bacon back in and also stir in my Parmesan cheese, and I'm gonna keep this on low heat for just about 2 minutes to let everything heat through, and then it will be ready to serve. I am so happy to be working again with Misen to bring you today's video. Misen is on a mission to inspire and enable great cooking, and they know that this usually starts with better tools in the kitchen at affordable prices. I actually have one of Misen's carbon steel pans. I have their stainless steel skillet. I recently invested in their stainless steel 6-quart Rondo and a 3-quart Saucier. You guys see those in my videos all the time. They're my go-to pans. But even longer than I've been using those things, I've been using Misen's chef's knife. Misen's knives are made from premium high-grade stainless steel, and this helps them stay sharper longer and last a lifetime. Misen's chef's knife is also designed with a unique sloped handle for easier and safer chopping, which makes it a good tool choice for all cutting tasks. And at 2 to 3 times less expensive than other premium knife brands, Misen has made the chef's knife affordable, so you don't have to choose between getting quality and getting a good price. I have had at least one of Misen's chef's knife for almost 2 years, and I actually invested in another one about a year ago, so I have 2. You see them all the time in my videos. They are my go-to knives for prep work. I use these for chopping fruit, for chopping veggies, for prepping different kinds of ingredients for recipes. I mean, if I am making a meal, you are probably seeing that Misen's chef's knife somewhere in the video. Misen is offering 20% off your first order when you go to the link in my description box and you use the promo code Mindy130. Again, go to the link in the description box below and use the code Mindy130 for 20% off your first order. This knife has been a winner for me. It has been easy for me to use. It stays sharp for a pretty long time for me, and it's really easy to care for. I do not put it in the dishwasher. I just wash it with warm soapy water and then lay it out on a drying mat to dry. So follow the link in the description box and check out their chef's knife and all of the other cool things that Misen has to offer. And don't forget to use the promo code Mindy130 at checkout so you can get 20% off your first order with Misen. Did you know that you can use gnocchi in your sheet pan meals? I always try to pronounce that very carefully. Sheet pan meal. That's where you just throw everything onto a cookie sheet. I use foil and line my cookie sheet, throw stuff on there, pop it into the oven, and then we have a really easy meal. It's also a great way for me to use up stuff I have hanging around in my kitchen, like vegetables or different kinds of proteins. So I thought I'd take a look around and see what I have that I could throw together for a sheet pan meal. I found a few red bell peppers already sliced up that I'd like to use, and about a pound of asparagus. I will wash that and chop that up. And I think I'll also throw some baby carrots in there as well for vegetables. I have a package of gnocchi here, and I think what I will do once I prep the vegetables is I will add the gnocchi and the vegetables to a bowl, and I will toss it with some of this pesto, and that's what I will use to kind of season and oil it before I put it onto the sheet pan. I also found these Italian sausage links in my freezer, so I thought that I would just go ahead and cook those alongside the veggies and the gnocchi in the oven so it can all cook together, and then I can slice those up to serve alongside the gnocchi and the veggies. If I wasn't being so lazy today, I would probably sear these sausages in a pan for a minute or 2 on each side before I put them on here, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna pop this into the oven. I did use just a smidge, like just a skosh of olive oil with this as well. Pesto already has oil in it. That's one of the main ingredients of pesto, so I didn't want to put too much oil in there. And I'm not going to season it very much, but I just want to sprinkle just a little bit of this anti-no-no seasoning. Again, the pesto is seasoning itself. We will pop this into a 400-degree oven until it is done. I'm not sure how long that's going to take. I'll probably use my meat thermometer on the sausages to see. And by the time those are done, this will be done too. This only took about 20 minutes in my oven at 400 degrees. The carrots could have maybe used just a couple more minutes, but that's okay. It'll work just fine. And I'm just going to finish this off by sprinkling a little bit of freshly grated Parmesan cheese on top. That's it. So easy. Today I'm going to be making a beef enchilada gnocchi bake, and I'm actually combining what I like about several different recipes I've tried before using various and sundry ingredients into this one recipe, and I'm making it ahead of time so that I can then just pop it in the oven and reheat it for dinner later on. I am going to start by chopping up about half of this onion. Okay, my eyes are totally watering and my nose is totally running from chopping up that onion. Woo! It was definitely an eye-watering onion. And I'm going to saute that while the ground beef is browning, along with the ground beef and also a little bit of minced garlic. I have a pound of ground beef right here. I'm using 85/15. I also have a can of refried beans and a can of tomatoes. These are just the petite diced tomatoes that have a little seasoning in them. 8 ounces of enchilada sauce. This is the Frontera brand, but you could use a can of enchilada sauce if you want to. I'm using the red chili enchilada sauce. Of course, I have my gnocchi. I have one standard package, which is a little over 17 ounces. I am going to season this using a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of oregano, and probably about 3 teaspoons of chili powder, plus salt and pepper to taste. If you wanted to, you could just use about a tablespoon or so of taco seasoning. And I'm gonna, of course, top this with a little bit of cheese. And not pictured, because I haven't gotten them out of the pantry yet, are tortilla chips. I think I'm going to use that in this recipe as well, and you'll see how in just a minute. My ground beef is finished browning along with my onions and my garlic. My onions are getting translucent as well. So now I'm going to add my seasonings. 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and about 3 teaspoons or a tablespoon or so of chili powder. I'm also going to stir in my enchilada sauce, my refried beans, and my tomatoes. I want to stir to combine that, and then I'm going to let it simmer over low heat for about 10 minutes. My sauce has been simmering for about 10 minutes or so. So everything's kind of mingled together. I've kept it on very low heat because beans and tomatoes are 2 things that will simmer and splatter everywhere and burn to the bottom of the pan if you are not careful. Oh my goodness, this smells so good. So I'm going to stir in my gnocchi. Gnocchi does not need a ton of moisture to cook. It doesn't need a whole bunch of liquid like pasta or rice. So I think that we're probably pretty well set here. I'll stir in my gnocchi, and I'm going to put my cover back on and let the gnocchi cook with the sauce for about 4 or 5 minutes. Doesn't take very long. And then I'm going to transfer this to a casserole dish to finish up. This stainless steel rondo from Misen is oven safe. So if I was going to eat this at home with just my family, I could just go ahead and finish it out in this pan and then pop this pan into the oven. But because I'm going to be taking this somewhere to share with another family, I'm going to finish it out by transferring it to a casserole dish that will be a little easier for me to take somewhere else. Sometimes these suckers are a little hard to separate. I should have done it before I put them in the pan, but that's okay. They separate really easily once they start to cook. I am going to finish this off by topping it with some shredded Colby Jack. This turned out a little bit saucier than I thought it might, so you probably could stretch this and actually add another package of gnocchi. But the other thing that I'm gonna do is add some crushed up tortilla chips on top. And then when I am ready to reheat it for dinner tonight, I will pop it in the oven at 325. I'm gonna keep the heat pretty low and just let it heat through probably about 20 to 25 minutes until it's bubbling. And then it will be ready to serve. So I'm looking forward to this. Yummy. I hope you found some inspiration from this video, and thank you again to Misen for sponsoring it. Don't forget to visit the link in the description box below and use the code Mindy130 at checkout to get 20% off your first order with Misen.